Hi, my name is Chloe Ford. Welcome to my midterm book review. I've chosen to review Making a Way Out of No Way, A Womanist Theology by Monica A. Coleman. Some historical background on the book was that it was published in 2008, a time that I personally find to be one of deep celebration and change with the election of our first and only to date Black President Barack Obama, as well as a time of integration and change in the world of technology. Our world was about to change forever as we knew it around this time period in the world of our cell phones and how we communicate with one another. Now, at the same time was the recession, the stock market crash, and the housing crisis, which was a time of deep sadness, loss, and upheaval, not knowing where we were to go from here, as well as change. We didn't know where we were to go from here. And with that being said, I think it was a very poignant time for Making a Way Out of No Way to come on to bookshelves everywhere. So some chapter by chapter breakdown. I'll first start with the thesis and then we'll go chapter by chapter. I believe the thesis of the book is that a postmodern, emphasis on postmodern, womanist theology is needed to properly address the current context of the world and offer it not only an air of understanding and explanation, but also hope and an action plan for how to strive for a better tomorrow with the help of God, ancestors, community, and shifting one's free will to be in alignment with God's individual callings for us all. In doing so, we make a mode of salvation, of making a way out of no way, as Monica Coleman calls it, to Black women during their time on earth and hereafter, as well as offering salvation for the greater oppressed to feel connected to, and to find personal redemption via using theology as a means of dismantling oppression and striving for universal justice to the best of one ability. So, chapter 1 begins with Coleman giving a brief overview of womanism, its origin being that it resulted from sexism on the Black theology end and racism on the feminist theology end. So there was nowhere for Black women to go in religiosity, hence womanism coming about. She goes on to list some of the biggest contributors to womanist theology. I tried to give a background to which one each one says, but there just simply isn't enough time. But theologists such as Jacqueline Grant, Kelly Brown Douglas, Dolores Williams, Joanne Mary Terrell, and Karen Baker Fletcher each bring such thought-provoking and deep perspectives, some tying in explicitly Jesus Christ into their teachings, and some tying in that as well as just overall care for the community, one another, Black women, the environment, and upturning social norms to liberate women and those that are oppressed, hence making a way out of no way. How do people who never had to deal with these making a way out of no way, how do they create and forge these new paths where they've never done that before? Hence coming, making a way out of no way, as Coleman calls it. Being able to see God's presentation in unforeseen possibilities, having human agency to turn towards God in these moments and trust His will or their will. The goal of justice, survival, quality of life, and challenging the existing order, because you can't you can't choose a new way if you're only following the old way. Womanism must be able to stretch further than those that are just religious, must be able to be postmodern and reach Black women who may not celebrate a particular denomination of faith, but just want to connect to God in their own way. Making a way out of no way claims that there is a relationship between God and humanity that allows for new ways to break into the current realities. And some of these ways could be, deviating from systematic theology. They could be metaphysical, process metaphysics, process thought, process theology, and salvation, and all of these ways where we do not negate what we've already learned, but we integrate new ways to make sense of this world for the world we really are living in. We try to explain evil with the teachings of Alfred North Whitehead and how evil really makes its way into the world in both pre-modern, modern, and postmodern worlds, and how evil is really a human act. It's God gives us free will, but we create the evil. We create the suffering and loss and pain, as Whitehead defines evil, and so it is up to us to work together communally to eradicate evil as best as we can, but it really is a part of our world as long as free will exists. And so going further than that, we go into creative transformation as a mode to maybe eradicate this evils that we talk about, because in not doing so, we manifest the racism, the sexism, the oppression, the surrogacy, the injustice in our country. All of these, amongst others, are what is a result of not being in alignment and not trying to work against evil. So creative transformation really implements community and God's wanting to grow with God and as a result of God's callings for us. So making a way out of no way, tied into creative transformation, brings communities together and teaches us how all to work together, to be able to heal one another, to make a way out of no way together. We can do this too by not forgetting about the past, not forgetting about our ancestors, not ever forgetting where we come from, creative transforming with those who came before us, to be able to learn from our past as well as move forward together as a collective unit in the future, and not forget where we come from. Have rememory, be able to have storytelling and keep us tied to our past and our spirits. And Chapter 5 wraps with some actual communities such as the Yerba and the GSN ministries, and people who really walk the walk, as Coleman puts it, and really use communal theology as a means of uplifting Black women, keeping them in the forefront of theology, and remembering the importance of so. I think the outcomes of the argument were awesome. I think Coleman did a really good job of being able to adequately state how womanism can reach Black women, but not only them, but oppressed in general, and how in seeing a religion that targets Black women really have faced the brunt of a lot of it. Anyone who's ever been made fun of or oppressed for being a woman, they've understood that, and anyone who's been made fun of for being a person of color, they can understand that. And so a religion that is centered around Black women is consequently centered around anyone who has ever been oppressed in any form. I do think in favor of this argument, but what I do feel may be missing is a little bit of a more of an understanding about, human agency and the part we play, and in doing so, where God is able to help us with that, and how we are able to transcend the evils in this world that just seem to be there because they are, and that they'll never go away. I wanted more. I thought logical flaws and negative implications could be found in that, because it would be a way to excuse evil by just being able to say it's part of the world. Overall, I do feel like this book accomplished what it wanted to do. I felt like it adequately stated exactly what womanist theology is in all its many forms, in all its many histories, in all its many shades and colors, and does an adequate job of making someone like me, a young woman in the 21st century, feeling like I could relate and be very moved and feel a part of womanism. So overall, I do feel like this was a beautiful book. I enjoyed reading it, and overall, that is my book review. I was very nervous to do it in this setting, and I hope that it came out good and I got everything out I needed to say. Thank you, Professor. Have a great day.